So it is day 5 of mobile release of Once Human, and if you go to your check-in rewards today, you can claim the SOCR, the last Valor. This is an amazing shrapnel weapon. It's probably one of the first ones I built when I started playing, and it's incredible. So let me show you 2 ways to build this. One way using all purple armor that you can find in the chests in-game, and then the second build will be with all legendary armor you can buy from the wish machine. So, the way the last Valor works. So, hitting 4 times triggers shrapnel, critical hits count as 2 hits, critical hits grant +1 shrapnel trigger times 1 second, and 30% crit damage. So, this is a gun you very much want to build into crit rate, get as much crit as you can, so that's obviously going to be our main weapon. Our secondary is going to be the DE50 Wildfire, which you should have got on your day 2 check-in rewards. This is a great pistol for marking with the bullseye, gives just great coverage. And then the long axe, which is great for just popping your Fortress Warfare. So the first build, the weapons are going to be the same in both builds. So the first build, with all purple gear you can get from chests in-game, going around the various cities getting the chests. So your key piece is going to be the beret, and this just gives shrapnel hit part +1. This is going to, when you trigger your shrapnel, it's going to give it an extra hit on top, increasing your damage. For the one piece, we're going heavy duty mass just to get a 10% HP bonus. You can put whatever you want for the one piece. But for the 4 piece, we are going with the Falcon set. So when you have all 4 pieces of the Falcon set, you get rolling stamina -20%, crit damage +12. When your stamina is over 90%, you increase your crit rate by 5 and your crit damage by 20%. And then max stamina +25, and then you recover 30 stamina instantly whenever you kill something. Keeping that topped up, keeping your stamina up, keeping that bonus up. So let's get into the mods. So these are obviously all gold mods. You can use the purple versions if you haven't got the gold ones yet. So we're going with Shrapnel Souvenir. So when Shrapnel Souvenir hits a weak spot, automatically refills 1 bullet from your inventory. So this is going to make it so that you'll pretty much never have to reload. You just keep firing and firing. And with all of these, the attribute effect you want to concentrate on, number 1, crit damage, number 2, weapon damage, and number 3, damage against great ones. They're the things that are going to boost your damage the most. And then if we go to secondary weapon, you just want a vulnerability amplifier on there. Bullseye adds vulnerability 8%, so that's going to be an extra 8% boost to your damage. The attribute effects don't really matter on the secondary. And then long axe, final territory. When Fortress Warfare ends, weapon damage +10% and movement speed +10% for 10 seconds. That just gives you a nice little boost. Now, on to the armor. So, for the beret, we're using Fateful Strike. So you cannot deal weak spot damage, crit rate +10%, and crit damage +30%. So what this means is, when it says you cannot deal weak spot damage, the first bullet you fire can't deal weak spot damage, but your shrapnel will still pop off, hit the weak spots, do the weak spot damage. So you're not going to be aiming for the weak spot hits anyway. You're aiming for kind of center mass, and then you're letting the shrapnel hit the weak spots, get your bullet back, keep your ammo up, do the extra damage. And for the mask, we're going Shrapnel Carnage. Shrapnel weak spot hit weight +100%, and shrapnel weak spot damage +25%. So what that means is, when you hit your center mass, it is guaranteed that that shrapnel is going to go to a weak spot. It's not just going to go to a random body part like normal. It's going to hone in, go straight for the weak spot. The Falcon on the jacket, you can, if you have a good mod that has crit damage, weapon damage, you can run that. But for most people, I would advise going for crit damage enhancement. It's a blue one, it's very common, but it gives you the +2 crit rate, +12 crit damage, which is, unless you have a perfectly rolled gold mod, that's going to be better. So for the pants, we're using Deadshot Valor. Each crit hit by non-melee weapons grants 5% crit damage up to 45%. The effect is removed upon the next reload. We're not reloading, so we're permanently going to have that effect. It's just a great damage booster. On the gloves, we're going crit boost just to get that extra crit rate up. And again, you can see we've got crit damage, weapon damage, damage against great ones. And finally for the shoes, we're going covered advance. Taking no damage within 4 seconds grants plus 20 melee, weapon and status damage for 30 seconds. The effect resets when duration ends. So this is, as long as you just don't get hit, this is going to be a big boost. So that is the purple. Let me show you what the actual fully kitted out version is. So if you've got the Starcrom to spend and you want to make this build, your key piece is going to be the gas tight helmet. This is going to give you max shrapnel target parts +1 and 150 shrapnel damage. So for the one piece in here, we just gone Stormweaver, rolling stamina -20. Again, one piece, you can do whatever you want. But for the 4-piece, we are going to go for Lone Wolf. This is going to give you plus 10% mag capacity, plus 5% crit rate. You get 1 stack of Lone Shadow with every 2 weapon crit hits. Lone Shadow is crit damage plus 6% for 30 seconds, and it can stack up to 8 times. And then if you have 4 pieces, you can increase the max Lone Shadow stacks to 10, and crit rate plus 8% for 2 seconds after reloading. You're not going to be reloading much, so you're not going to get that. But it's the 10 stacks. But crit damage plus 60%, 10 stacks, that's 60% extra damage. That is huge. And all the mods are exactly the same. So if you do have the Starcrom spare, I would highly suggest... I would highly suggest getting the Lone Wolf set anyway, because there are so many builds of so many different weapons that will want the Lone Wolf. The 2 most important sets are the Lone Wolf set and the Shelterer set. The Lone Wolf set's going to do any of your crit damage based builds, and the Shelterer set is going to do any of your elemental builds. So now on to the Cradle. So these things really make the build. So we've got Anti-Void when using rifles, shotguns or heavy weapons, damage plus 15%. Tactical combo, weapon damage plus 15% for 4 seconds after switching or reloading. While we don't reload, we are going to be switching weapons because we're going to be going back and forth to the wildfire to mark the targets. Deadly combo, after triggering bullet effect, bounce and shrapnel, bullet effect damage plus 25% for 4 seconds. It's just a straight 25% boost. Marked strike, weak spot damage plus 20% against targets marked with a bull's eye. Invincible strike, after dealing weak spot damage, shrapnel damage plus 2.5 and shrapnel crit damage plus 3.5 for 6 seconds up to 10 stacks. When fully stacked, shrapnel damage lost due to distance minus 50%, that's really good. And then these are kind of whatever you want, so summoning a hand evasion gives you a 30% shield. Steady hand, weapon damage plus 10%, weak spot damage plus 25 when you're in Fortress Warfare. And then resilience, I've just put when your sanity goes below 30% damage received. So that is how the Cradle's set up. So going into encounter, your typical thing would be using your wolves as your deviant, because that increases your damage. Then you're going to fire until the target gets marked. So after a few bullets, it'll be marked. And then you'll just go in. And bearing in mind this is a uncalibrated, unupgraded weapon, nothing like that. So really what you want is, obviously you want everything fully calibrated up to plus 10. And then on your calibration, you want the effect that gives you plus 20% attack, followed by crit rate for the substats. That's the best calibration you're going to get. So that's it. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. Was this helpful? Do you want to see any more builds? I mean, what else have we got coming up in the check-in rewards? So the next check-in reward is day 7. You get the KVD Boom Boom, which is probably one of the most broken weapons in the game. And then you get the Bingo, which is an amazing support weapon, even if you don't use it as a main weapon, because you can just trigger the bullseye. Massive Mune is just great fun. The MPS 7 Outer Space is an amazing weapon. I already have a build video up on that on my channel if you want to go and check that out. It's an incredible weapon, lots of damage, and the Bramini Bounce Hammer. So don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I am live most nights on Twitch and YouTube, so maybe I'll see you there soon. Take care, bye bye.